Hey guys, it's Ensei, and welcome to my first draw it with me while I talk your ear off style of video. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but while I draw here with my pen on paper, I'm just gonna be talking about random things, either shedding a new perspective for you, on you, in life, or entertainment. I hope you find this video enjoyable. And thank you for being here again, if this is your second time here. And either way, thank you for being here. I'll put the name of most of the supplies I used in this video in the description if you're interested. Because when I watch some videos and they don't put what pen they're using, I try to pause it and zoom in and try to find it, but then I end up not finding it. So it's frustrating. So that's why I will give you what I use. I'll put it in the description so you can look it up if you're interested. I was trying to come up with what kind of videos I'd want to make, and from the first one I took notes on what I liked and what I didn't like to do. And one of the big things I liked was that I got to talk, because I really like talking. And I got feedback from some of my friends, and they said that they'd also like to see this style of video where it's like a longer format and they can just have it on in the background while they draw, or just listen, or do something else. So I'm happy. I was really happy when I got that feedback, because that was exactly what I was thinking that I wanted to do. I think this video should end up being about an hour long, but I don't know if I can talk for that long, but we'll see. But I probably can. I'm probably gonna jump all over the place with topics, but another idea I have for this video is I like to write stories, and right now I'm obsessed with one idea that I have, and I'm just writing multiple stories about different characters in that same universe. And I wrote like a 10-minute read, and I am going to read it for you in this video. I don't know where I'm gonna put it, but it'll be in here somewhere. And it's like a fantasy supernatural themed story, which are some of my favorites. And I hope you look forward to it. If you want to skip to it, I guess you can try and find it, but if you don't want to skip to it, you can just listen through the whole video and you'll get there eventually. And I hope you guys enjoy, because I have a lot of fun writing stories. I want to make a video game, a visual novel, but that has been postponed for now. For now, I'm more focusing on creating content for YouTube, but also writing stories and drawing. I just like making things. It's what I do in my free time. I try to spend my free time wisely, because some people around me aren't as fortunate, and they're always busy and they're always working. So I guess part of me feels guilty when I'm not doing something productive. But of course, it's okay to have those non-productive days once in a while, but I'm in my 20s, so I feel like I want to do something, and I want to do something that affects people in a good way and has purpose to me. So a lot of my free time I spend on, well, I used to play video games, not a lot, but these days I rarely play at all, and I haven't even really been watching any YouTube videos or like live streams, gaming streams. I mostly just listen to music and draw and find ways to improve my skills in different aspects. And a big one I'm working on is actually talking, because I'm not very good at talking, especially when it comes to talking with other people. And the reason I started working customer service was to improve my social battery, but also social communication, social interaction, because I don't know a lot of people and I don't get out much. But I definitely think I've improved with social interaction and talking, and a big thing that steered me away from social interactions was small talk. And when you work customer service, that's a big part of it. There's a lot of, how are you today? The weather's nice or not. And I used to really, really not like that. But I've learned that nobody cares about it. And I mean, part of me knew that, but it's just a social norm and a way of being polite. And so it just comes naturally now, actually. Usually, before then, every time someone would say, how are you? I would say good or just hi and not ask back. But now, an immediate response is, I'm good, how are you? Or something like that. So, I guess I've gotten better at that. At the beginning, I drew circles and rectangles in perspective. They're just my warm-ups that I usually do. And at first, I used to just draw them really quickly, the rectangles especially. And if it looked like it was in perspective, that was good enough for me. But I learned that you should put effort and thought into every line you make. Because when I looked back on those rectangles I drew that were just drawn quickly in perspective, I noticed that the lines weren't in the correct perspective. And now I go slower and I think about where the lines would converge if there was a perspective line and a horizon and a perspective grid. So I draw with more purpose, if that's the right word. And it really trains your muscle memory too, or trains mine. So that's helpful advice I've gotten. Regarding the stories, I actually have an idea in mind. I don't know if it'll work, but it sounds like it'd be fun. But I was thinking of making a story, and then I'd read it to you guys, and then it'd be kind of like a choice game, like a visual novel game, a choice-based game, where I give you 2 options, or however many, and you vote, and then you guys vote in the comments, and then I'll set a deadline, and whichever one has the most votes, I will write the story based on that option. I think that sounds pretty fun, but I don't know how that would work. I think it would work, but if you think that's a good idea and you think that would be fun, then let me know down below in the comments and I will think about it. Hey, editor Ensei here, but I was thinking about this idea again and I realized that I could just make a visual novel game instead of doing this idea. But then I thought about how not everyone has a PC or a laptop, so they wouldn't be able to play the game anyways. So then I thought, then my first idea would work. Because not everyone plays games either, but I still want people to be able to experience my story and access it even if they don't play games. So yeah, I might still do this idea in the future. But even if I do make it into a game, I can just play it on the channel here. But there's so many options. I don't know what to do, but I'll decide something. Okay, back to the video. Thank you for listening. So the other day after I posted my first video, I saw the thumbnail of a video that said not to tell anyone when you start a YouTube channel. And I was like, oh no, why? And part of me wanted to watch it because I want to know, did I do something wrong? Because I told some friends and some family. Part of me was starting to regret that I told them, even before I watched the video. But then I thought about how some of the people I've told are so happy for me and they're excited for more videos, and I just think it's so sweet. And I think about how if I didn't tell them, they wouldn't be so happy. And I don't regret whatever reason the video had. And I feel like if I didn't tell them, I would regret it more. Even though I didn't watch the video. But maybe the video, they probably said some insightful stuff, and it's probably a good video, but I didn't watch it because I didn't want to overthink either. And it's something I already did. So I don't know what the reasons are because I didn't watch the video, but I think that life is too short to worry about little things like that. I try to live my life with no regrets. So if I already did something and I might regret it, I try to let it go because I already did it and there's no going back. So you might as well live with what you did. And my regrets aren't crazy things. It's mostly like, well, an example from me is a bit of a story time, but back in 2019, I went to Japan for the first time with my family. And my catchphrase for that trip, or my motto, was the word experience. And so every time we tried something new, or there was something I wanted to do or something I wanted to eat, I would just say experience and do it or try it. And didn't care if I would look silly or like a tourist or stand out. I didn't care because I wanted to go to Japan for so long, and I finally got to go and it was amazing. And I loved it so much. And thinking back, I'm so happy that I have no regrets from that trip. Except one thing. Or two? Or one? I think one thing. And it's more something that I didn't do more than I did do. I don't regret anything I did. It's more I regret something I didn't do, which was go on it was a Ferris wheel at a garden. I forgot where. But it was a really nice garden by a body of water. It was really pretty. It was beautiful. And there was a Ferris wheel. No. We went to an amusement park and there was a Ferris wheel, and I kept thinking, should we go on it? I kind of want to go on it to take pictures. I think I was in my photography era at that time, but I wanted to go up and take pictures. But then I don't know why I kept thinking, should I or shouldn't I? Is it a waste of time? And in the end, I ended up not going on it. So that was my one regret. And I learned that I usually regret things that I didn't do more than the things I did do. So when I overthink something, like, should I do this? Should I not? Usually I do it and I don't regret it. Because like I said, my motto was, or my catchphrase was experience. And whether good or bad, everything you do can be a lesson and you can learn something from it, and it's experience. And even if you regret it one day in the future, you'll look back on it and you might regret not doing something more than something you did. At least for me. Because I have more trouble putting myself out there than not putting myself out there. So I usually regret what I don't do. So my first trip to Japan in 2019 compared to my second trip to Japan in, last year? 2024. Yes, I went in March with my friend, and it was the first time I've ever went anywhere, went on a plane by myself without my parents or family. It was only my friend and I. And it's an international trip. So, but I'm comfortable with airplanes and airports because I used to go on them often. And so I was thinking a lot before the trip, but once I talked it through with my parents and thought about how I have a lot of experience with airports and airplanes, and I talked through each step and how I've done this before. I've done this before, and I've been to the airport before, and it's all routine, and I don't have to overthink too much. Because something could go wrong, but there's always people to help at airports, at least. And it's not like I'm completely alone because I'll have my friend, or I had my friend, and we could work together and think things through. So anyways, we went to Japan, and I loved it because I just want to go back ever since I went in 2019. But this trip was a bit different because I was different, and because I was older, but also experience was not my catchphrase for that trip. And I saw the world differently. Not just try this, try that, because I guess partially because I'm an adult and I am responsible for my own actions, so I couldn't just do anything I wanted, but thinking back, I could have. So compared my 2019 trip to Japan to 2024, in 2024, I regret not doing a lot of things during that trip. My friend and I want to go and just eat food, so like a food trip, but I think it's because we were tired too, of course, but we barely tried any food, and it's really my big regret and her big regret. But we were so tired at the end of the night, so for dinner we would get just convenience store food, and then we'd buy breakfast for the next day when we bought our dinner, which was also the convenience store. So for lunch was the only meal where we ate not convenience store food, because my friend also had like jet lag stomach. I don't know what to call it, but she did not have a good appetite, so it was hard to eat. It was hard to decide on food And then at the end of the day, we'd be tired. So we'd just get convenience store food. And the good part was we had ice cream every day. And ice cream in Japan is so good. And that's the thing I miss the most. But anyways, that's what I regret, because there was a lot of food that, I want to try this, I want to try that, but I can only speak very basic Japanese, and I wasn't confident in using it. So that's a big part of what made me not try some foods, because I was embarrassed if I talked wrong or I pronounced something wrong. But looking back, even if I did say something wrong or do something wrong, and I think I did, looking back though, would they even remember? And I don't even remember. And if we meet again, they won't remember and I won't remember. So why was I overthinking? Because we were in another country, and when you waste your mind and your time on worrying when you're on vacation in a whole nother country, it makes you miss opportunities. It made me miss opportunities. And the funny thing is, this can be applied to everyday life, because, like I said before, life is too short. And if you spend a lot of your time thinking on what this person thinks about you, what they think about what you said, then you're living your life in the past and you're not moving forward. And they're probably not even thinking or worrying about whatever you're worrying about, because everyone has their own life and everyone has their own worries. And people are more worried about themselves than they are about you and about what you do. And so try not to take things so personally, or try not to take what people say to you so personally. Time moves on and people have their own lives and they have things to worry about. So if you say something or did something that you regret or will regret, or you think you will regret, really think it through and think, is what I'm doing hurting anybody or myself? And if not, then you did nothing wrong, and you shouldn't regret what you did or will do. And it helps me, at least, not overthink things that I did, and I hope it helps you too. So earlier I talked about how I like to write stories, and I wrote something and I want to read it to you. So I'll give a little bit of context, but I like to not give a lot of context, because if you listen to it or read it and it makes sense anyways, or you're really into it, that is more rewarding to me personally. But I'll give you a little bit of context just so you have an idea of what is happening. So, like I said, it's a fantasy, supernatural, maybe a little romance story. And the only context I'll give, I might explain after I say the story, or after I read you the story. The only context I'll give is that the main character is captured by some person. Back in elementary school, I really liked it when the teachers sat us down on the floor or in the library and they just read to us from a book. And I've always liked to do that, just read out loud to someone or read from a book, and I've always wanted to do it, so this is why I put this part in, and I'm proud of what I wrote. So I hope you guys enjoy and just follow along. I'll put subtitles probably, because my friend said it's easier to follow along when there's subtitles, so I'll either subtitle the whole video or just this part. So I hope you guys enjoy my story. Let's see what we have here. His eyes trail down, and with my cloak disarray, his observation lands on the crescent-shaped pin on my shirt, and then to my scythe, which lays discarded on the ground, encased in ice. I can tell that the realization of what I am sets in when he rolls his eyes. Spirit Reaper. The man lets out a breath that can be considered more of a scoff than a sigh. Not that the hood and scythe didn't make it obvious, he adds, almost to himself. You're not the first, but I sure wish you'd be the last. Do you know how tiring it gets to fend off one reaper after another every few years or so? I then have to find a new location to settle in, but you all somehow find me again anyways. A humorless laugh escapes his lips. As if to prove his annoyance, more ice creeps up my arms to my shoulders and then stops just before it reaches the skin of my neck. The chill, like a slight tease, brushes against my skin, and though the thought of him seeing me squirm makes me cringe, I try to wriggle out of the ice that envelops my limbs and torso. My feeble attempt to escape comes to a halt when a low rumble sounds from his direction. I peer up at him from my position on the frozen ground and realize that he's trying to hold in a smile but failing. That sound from him was an attempt at holding in a laugh. I feel my cheeks warm up from the humiliation as he steps closer. The snow and shards of ice crunches under his bare feet, but he makes no acknowledgement of any pain from either the cold or the sharpness of them. Oh, what a shame. If we both weren't trying to get rid of each other, I might have decided to keep you around for a bit. He tilts his head and his eyes become pale golden slits. I've encountered spirit reapers far more adept than you in a fight, though you are quite fun to spar with and quite adorable when you're in no position to kill me. The snarl when he speaks those words indicates to me that adorable should not be taken as a compliment in this case. I close my eyes to rein in whatever patience I have left and calculate my options. Even if I tell him that I wasn't trying to kill him and that I actually need his help, there's nothing stopping him from just freezing the rest of my body when he decides that my words are just another attempt to escape. I try to reach for the powers that should be dancing along my fingertips, but the ice has rendered them numb for who knows how long now, and I find nothing. Cute, but that won't work. I wince as the snow spirit's eyes darken, boring into mine, while the ice around my hands somehow fills up the tiny pockets of space that my fingers had and shoots down another option of escape. Trying to use whatever Reaper powers you have won't work. I know you need your hands for that, and I'd say my ice has a pretty good hold on them. He strides over to the scythe, and as he reaches for it, the ice encasing the weapon seems to dissolve for him. My eyes widen, expecting him to flinch away in pain, like most spirits do, but when he makes contact, his movements are fluid as he picks up the scythe. He inspects the weapon, tracing a finger over the intricate gold engravings that run along the start of the blade to the end, while his eyes seem to glaze over as if in a trance. The moonlight shines on his figure and his pale, long hair, and illuminates the cold that swirls around him like a comforting mist. No wonder humans around the area have been spreading rumors of a ghost in the mountains for the past few centuries or so. If a human happens to pass by to witness this scene, they would either run away back home in terror, or they would not notice the edge of a cliff and get themselves hurt, or worse. As he continues to trace the patterns, I almost don't hear his next word as a breeze brushes through the air. Beautiful. If I want to get out of this ice alive and complete my task, this is my chance. The snow spirit's attention is still wholly focused on the scythe, but I have to draw his attention back to me. Look, I start. This is just a big misunderstanding, and I'm not here to send you to hell. Though that's where I would send you if I didn't need you for this mission. But I keep that last thought to myself and continue. And you are really easy to find. Even though you said you have to find new locations to stay when we find you, from the information I found, you always end up coming back here. The snow spirit grows still, as if he himself is frozen in ice. His hair obscures my view of his face, but I can tell I'm at least getting somewhere with him. In a good way or bad, I'll have to gamble. I had to do research on you because you're my latest assignment, and I need you to cooperate with me. Anyways, spirits that come back to the same place are categorized in the lingering spirits category. Just as the words leave my mouth, he's already looming over me with my scythe in one hand, while the other claws at the ground next to my head. His eyes show bright, almost exactly replicating the full moon in the sky, but his eyes glow with even more intensity than that. What do you know? I stiffen. His words have a heavy weight to them, as if all the thoughts and emotions he wants to express were crammed into those 4 words. You just get assigned a job, and then you carry out those tasks by finding us, and then with a swish of your scythe, we're sent to our prison, where we live out the rest of our eternity. I know that some spirits deserve the torturous pits of hellfire, but not all of us are stuck on this plane for unruly reasons like them. And I've never met any one of you that cared to know or ever gave me an opportunity to explain myself. No. You all just start trying to kill me and send me there like some mindless drones. So why would I help you? The look of anger, but also honesty and pain, distorting his haunting features, seals the fact that this is the last chance I'll have to convince him. But have I ever seen a reaper listen to a spirit they've been assigned to deal with? Though not all spirits can talk, some can, like him. Harvesting spirits has just always been our job when we're out in the fields, so when the spirit has had a reputation of harming other beings, I just assumed that they had bad intentions and did my task to banish them. So, what if they don't have bad intentions? What if it's really just a misunderstanding or an accident? Is there even a justified reason that can cause a spirit to harm somebody? Whatever reasons you have for wanting to get out of this alive, say it fast. That's a mercy I'm willing to give you that I've never been given before. I feel, more than see, the ice as it resumes spreading up my neck to consume the rest of my body, and if I don't do something now, well, it doesn't take a genius to know what will happen to me. I notice that there's something pleading about the way he said those words, and with a slight sheen in his eyes. What is he not saying? My scythe is closer now, but even if I can feel my fingers, it's impossible to move my hands, making any physical altercation out of the question. This leaves me with only one option: my words. My most undeveloped skill. The reason I always end up working partnered missions alone, and now my only hope. If I tell him that I really am not here to kill him, and the reason I want to help him is for my own benefit, would that work? Would that kind of honesty work with a man who has never been given a chance to explain his own reasons? Our breaths mingle together as he waits with bated breath for my reply, and I take into account how the ice has stopped spreading. That's actually the reason I'm here. I want to help you, but for my own reasons. The snow spirit blinks a few times and backs away, but only a little. What? Killing you would actually be undermining my plans. And that is the end of that part of my story. What do you think? Tell me what you thought about it in the comments. I would love to hear. And I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope that you'll want to know how the story goes and that you'll stick around. I'm not a huge fan of really mean cliffhangers, so I don't think this one was too mean of a cliffhanger, but I hope it still makes you want to know what happens next. I really enjoy writing stories, and I just got back into it really recently. Well, maybe like actually writing stories, maybe like almost a year now. But when I was younger, I used to write all the time. So I just really enjoy creating stuff and creating anything, really. I guess that's why I like making art and writing stories and even making videos, because that's also an art and it's fun. Even though ever since I started, I have a lot more respect for YouTubers now, because there's so much work that goes into it, and I think it's the hardest at the beginning when you're trying to figure stuff out, but I hope it gets easier. Anyways, the story is written by me, but if anyone wants to use it for any reason, I forgot that I could, but someone reminded me. I will leave my email in the description, so if you have any questions regarding anything, really, it doesn't even have to be about the story, please send me an email. Feel free to send me an email, and I will probably get back to you whenever I can. If not, I'm sorry. So now, after you know the story, I can give a little more context. The story is in first person, and it's from the perspective of a spirit reaper, which is similar to a grim reaper, but their jobs are a bit different. She currently has no name, and the snow spirit also has no name, but whenever I write the next part, I'll probably come up with a name by then. And I haven't drawn these two characters at all, but an idea I got from a friend was that I should draw the characters while I read this story, or I should draw the characters and like this in a draw with me while I read the story to you. I think that's a good idea. That sounds fun, and I'll probably do that. And yeah, I haven't drawn these two at all, but on my Instagram and in my first video, I drew Kryn, and he is a spirit reaper. And I've drawn a few other spirit reapers on my Instagram if you want to take a look. But I'm still in the process of designing them and the world that they live in. But how I came up with this idea was I was obsessed with scythes, the weapon, for a few months ago. I don't know why, but I just think they look really cool. So I was like, who can use a scythe? And I thought of Grim Reapers, so I came up with the idea of Spirit Reapers. And I don't want to give the full context of what they actually do yet, but yeah. And like I said in my first video, I was trying to make a visual novel game in January. It was for a game jam on itch.io. It was called Sealed with a Kiss, and it was a visual novel game jam. And there was a theme, and you had to make the game within that month of January. But it was, I've never made a game before, so there was a lot of reasons why I didn't finish. But I learned that I like coding, at least very simple coding. That's fun. And I'll probably finish that game sometime. I'll try to finish it this year. Because it's kind of almost done. I just have to flesh out the rest of the story and then design and draw the characters and the backgrounds for the game. I will keep you guys updated if there are any updates on the progress. So it's about 40 minutes into this video and I'm realizing that I can't talk for an hour straight. Not an hour straight because I do this in multiple takes, but I tried to do it on the same day. So one thing that I forgot to talk about was while I was making this video, I recorded it on my phone and I had problems uploading it onto my computer. And I've done it before in the past for a school project, and it worked. So I was thinking that it's definitely possible and I can definitely do it, but I could not get it, and I had to go roundabout ways and try to figure out how to. It was difficult. But I just kept thinking that I've done this before and people do it all the time, so I can definitely do it. I just have to figure out how and not give up. And in the end, I did it. And I figured it out. But it took so much time and effort. And what I had learned from this is never give up, of course. But sometimes money is the answer. And I don't want to say that, but well, what happened with me was the editing software I use is so outdated that it couldn't process or read the files, the video files from my phone, so it wouldn't load, and that was the problem. So I had to buy the more updated version of the editing software I use. So yeah, sometimes money is the answer, but it was my last resort. But I'm glad that I tried to find a different way to solve the problem, but in the end, the problem had to be solved, or the problem was because my editing software was too old. So, but yeah, never give up, because I mean, you have to know when to quit sometimes, but sometimes you don't quit and you will get the results you want. So whatever you're doing, you can do it. I believe. But also know when to quit, because some things are just not meant to be or not meant to happen, and that's okay. There can be other options or other ways to get the results you want. You can do it. So it turns out I can't talk for 60 minutes, at least for this video. So I'm just gonna end it here. So the rest of the video will just be me drawing. And if you're interested in watching that, please feel free to finish the video. But if not, that's okay. I wanted to include the actual audio from me drawing, but the audio didn't turn out very well, so I didn't include it this time, but I will hopefully be able to include it next time if I get better at editing audio. So thank you again for listening. If you made it through the whole video without skipping, wow, thank you. I know it's a really long video. And if you skipped around, that's totally fine too. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed your time here and got some drawing done or did chores or studied or whatever you were doing. I hope I helped a little. And now I'm just gonna do a typical outro, but if you liked the video, please hit the like button and don't forget to hit subscribe if you'd like to. And my Instagram is at ensei_arts. And I'll also leave my email in the description in case anyone wants to contact me for any reason. Tell me what you thought about this video. If you have anything you'd like for me to talk about, then you can leave it in the comments. Any topics for the next video or anything else, feel free to talk in the comments. And like I said at the beginning, I'll have all the pens and notebook and markers I used in this video in the description down below, in case you're interested. And yeah, if you have any requests for what you'd like for me to discuss next time, or what kind of videos you'd like to see, I would love to know and get some ideas. So I hope you look forward to my next video, and never give up. You got this. Okay, thank you. Bye bye. Have a nice day. Have a nice rest of your day.